the real idea and premise behind this program is to convey exactly what it took to get in the Hall of Fame beyond just the athletic ability. And again, like we shared with the earlier group, these guys are great examples of athleticism and skill, but it took more than that. It took those 6 pillars that you guys are studying. So, can we have you guys mute there, whoever just joined in? I need all the schools to mute their microphones, please. Thank you. So we'll just bypass all my talk, and we're going to get straight to Mr. Mack since we got so many distractions going on here. We'll just get past all my talk. We'll skip over it so we have plenty of time for you guys to talk with him. We want to thank all the schools that are participating. At this time, we would like to give the schools an opportunity to give a shout-out to show some school spirit. So I'm going to ask the schools, as I call upon you, to go ahead and unmute your microphone and give a shout-out for your school. I know a couple of you, we won't be able to see you, but we will still be able to hear you when you do that. And I apologize to those schools that are in libraries or whatever for allowing your kids to scream. But we'll start there in Nevada, in the Reno area, I guess, Incline Village. If you want to go ahead and unmute for a second and go ahead and give a shout-out.
Hi, can you hear us?
Yes, we can. We can hear you. We're just not getting the video.
Oh, you're not getting video. This is Incline High School from Lake Tahoe, Nevada. And we have currently 8 of our athletes and English students. We want to tell everyone out there that we're state champions in golf, cross country, boys and girls soccer, basketball, you name it, we're rocking out here. So we're anxious to meet Mr. Mack.
We got. Thank you, Incline. We appreciate. Did you save some sports for the other schools in the state? I mean, please do that. Please share the championships.
We're better than Las Vegas.
Thank you, Incline. Go ahead and mute there. We appreciate it. I know we're having some technical difficulties, but at least we'll be able to. It'll be an audio call, so second best. Bozeman High School. If you want to give a shout out, go ahead. Give a cheer. Go to Montana. That was pretty weak, ladies. Come on, try that again. Bozeman.
Okay.
There we go. There we go. Thank you very much. Go ahead and mute there, Bozeman. We'll see if they got connected yet. Post Oaks. Emily, did you guys get connected there?
We are connected, but not by video, just by audio.
Okay, all right, so the same thing with you and Incline are having the same issues, so we apologize for any inconvenience on that, but at least we will be able to hear you and still be able to ask questions, so we appreciate your cooperation.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Post Oaks. So go ahead and mute there. We'll go to Lorain County, Oberlin, Ohio.
Yeah! These are awesome.
Come on. Represent Northeast Ohio.
Yay.
Thank you, Lorain County. Go ahead and mute there. Let's go to Texas, Castleberry. I knew my friends at Castleberry would not disappoint me. So thank you, Castleberry. Let's go to Cincinnati Hall, St. Christopher. Thank you, St. Christopher. Thank you for the enthusiasm. Go ahead and mute there. And last but definitely not least, they're tuning in as a view-only group, but nonetheless, they're still tuning in throughout the whole program. We're going to go to Hollywood, Florida. Let's say hello to the folks at Driftwood Middle School. Driftwood, if you want to say hello. Thank you, Driftwood, and thank you, Yvette, for all the help over the last few days and getting that connection going there for your students. Again, we want to remind all the schools to make sure to mute your microphones and keep them muted till we call upon you. And let me go ahead and get to the introduction. I think we've got through all the snafus and dealing with the other ones. So I'd like to introduce our featured speaker here today, and that's Pro Football Hall of Famer Mr. Tom Mack. And again, I'd like to introduce these guys when we introduce our Hall of Famers is by their on the field and they're off the field. And I think one thing that's interesting that you'll find is that his on the field, while obviously an amazing on-the-field career, you'll find his off-the-field career is even more remarkable. So Mr. Mack, he was a Rams first-round draft pick. He was the second player overall in the 1966 NFL Draft. One of only 2 rookies on a veteran-laden team. Earned starting role as a rookie and held left guard position for the next 13 seasons. Now get this, extremely durable. He never missed a game and 184 game career. He was named to 11 Pro Bowls. He was named All NFL 5 times. He was All Western Conference once, All NFC 8 times. He was born in 1943, and for you students in the Cleveland area in Oberlin, he's born in Cleveland, Ohio. So he's not too far down the road from you guys. Off the field, now get this, now listen to this. Over 39 years of leadership and management of projects, operations, political operations, and business development for Jacobs Engineering and the Bechtel Group of companies. Oversight of the development of marketing and business development programs that have acquired more than 18 billion, and not million, billion, in constructed project value. So obviously he's had a remarkable career, 39-year career with that company. He was also an Eagle Scout in 1959. He was a Distinguished Eagle Scout in 1984. He was granted actually by Secret Service the top secret clearance since 1966, which requires 15 years of a comprehensive background check. So just being granted that access means he's allowed to do things that you and I, as citizens of the United States, we aren't able to do because we don't have that type of security clearance to do that. He's been involved with a number of boards, as a board of directors, as trustee members, as members of various boards from the Las Vegas and Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, Boy Scouts organizations, a number of different organizations. So obviously when you start looking at the parallel of caring and citizenship, that's obviously one that he really shines in on as well. But with that being said, before we go to Mr. Mack's opening comments, what I'm going to do is show you a video, and then we'll go to Mr. Mack.
A perennial Pro Bowler, Tom Mack distinguished himself as one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time. During his career, the Rams won 8 division titles, and Mack was a model of consistency. Mack was a powerful run blocker, opening huge holes for Ram running backs and putting opponents on their backs.
And I know sometimes that just doesn't do justice, the videos over video conference. If you get a chance, go to Google or whatever and check that out. But if you guys can all join me and unmute your microphones and give him a warm round of applause to Pro Football Hall of Famer Mr. Tom Mack. And Mr. Mack, the microphone is yours, sir.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate being able to join everybody today for this video teleconference. You know, winning is a funny thing. You see winning on TV, and you hear it on the radio, and that's the only thing that's important. Well, there's more things that are important in life than just winning. Winning is important, but the way you want to win is you want to win the right way, and you don't want to win the wrong way. But whether you win right or you win wrong, the last thing you want to do is lose. So, you know, we find ourselves in an interesting conundrum. As you go through life, you'll find that you rely more than you imagine on the lessons you learn as young men and women, probably between the ages of 8 and about 18, you're going to develop what I'll call your moral compass. And that's going to guide you all the way through life in what you do and how you do it, whether it's playing professional football or it's being an engineer or it's being a mom or it's being a dad. All of those jobs are significant. Whatever you find you do in life, the idea is to be the best you can at it. And that's really what sports in general and football certainly in particular did for me. I had a coach that used to say smarter, tougher, better conditioned. And what he was trying to do was let you know that you had to have a well-balanced approach to not just football, but to life. And you had to deal with things that sometimes didn't fit in all that well in life. But you had to rely back on your inner self as what was going to guide you through life. And really this whole persona of character comes down to that. It's being responsible for yourself, being responsible for others. I was lucky enough as a kid that I was close to one of my grandfathers, and he made a real point of having some kind of defined moral compass in my life. And that's really something that's helped me and guided me through life, whether it's playing football or it's being an engineer or being in sales, or even to the extent that I touch the world in terms of some political activity. So what I would hope for each and every one of you is that you do have the opportunity to develop that compass and help it guide you through life.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mack. And the schools, we're going to now go to questions from you guys. And the way we're going to do it, we're going to go from one question from each site. We're going to go Incline High School, Bozeman, Post Oaks, Lorain County, Castleberry, and St. Christopher. So those schools know that when Incline and Post Oaks ask their question, most likely a black screen is going to pop up right now because we're not getting incoming video or getting video out to them for whatever reason. But they will be able to hear everything. But one thing I do encourage all the students is, I've seen your questions. You get to select out of those which ones you want to ask here today. But I encourage you to ask those thought-provoking, character-related questions about Mr. Mack's life, about how important do you think accountability and leadership are? How do you think has your character ever been tested? Whatever questions you have that you want to share, ask him. But I encourage you to pick those tough ones and make him think a little bit about some of them, because I think you'll be surprised by some of his responses, as we were earlier, especially about what he prioritizes in life, and especially with his career. So with that being said, we're going to start with Incline High School. Go ahead, the dominating athletics of Incline there in Nevada.
Hi, can you hear us okay?
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
All right, go ahead.
So I'm Kelly. I'm a junior here at Incline High School, and my question is, if you had to pick one experience in your life to redo so that you could change the outcome, what experience would that be?
Great question to start the program off.
Interesting. I was at kind of a similar question, and it's a little bit of a conundrum for me, because what I responded before was, if I felt that something didn't go as well as I wanted in my life, it might have been that I didn't do as well as I think I could have in the second career that I chose, which was a long and successful engineering construction career. The company that I worked for the majority of the time built an awful lot of the power plants that are around this country. They've built huge infrastructure projects, from the rapid transit systems in San Francisco to the rapid transit systems in Washington, D.C. It's just an amazing company, and they've built a lot of stuff overseas, in particular in Saudi Arabia. The question in my mind was, could I have been more successful had I chosen that career right out of college, as opposed to playing professional football? I think the reason I've always questioned that in my mind is my parents' guidance to me. My father had played professional baseball for about 8 years during the era of the second, before and after the Second World War. And they kind of advised me that I needed to be sure I had a second career, because even if I was successful at football, which I was, that career would end sometime between 30 and 35 in terms of how old I was going to be. And I would still have another 30 years or so to live my life in terms of what I was going to be doing with the rest of the time in my life. So I just always wonder if I could have been even better at the engineering construction business had I given it my full focus and the full sense of time. I don't have any regrets about it. It's just one of those things you wonder about. And I guess I think that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Incline. We appreciate the question. That kind of points to exactly what I was kind of pointing at the beginning, is that may not necessarily be a regret, but just the fact that he'd give thought to, giving up that football career to become even better as an engineer. I just think that's very interesting and a unique insight into Mr. Mack and how important his off-the-field achievements are to his life. So thank you again, Incline. We do want to remind all the schools as well that even after you ask your question, please make sure to mute your microphones as well, just so we can eliminate any background noise. So with that being said, let's go to the ladies there in Bozeman, Montana, the excited ladies. Bozeman, where'd you go?
Hi, my name's Aaliyah.
Oh, there you go.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah. So, should I say my question? Yeah. Okay, so my first question is, what does accountability mean to you?
Well, first let me tell you, I'll sidebar for just a second. We have a summer home in Montana, and I live about 150 miles west of you guys, near a little town called Phillipsburg, Montana, if you know that area, just west of Anaconda. Now, back to your question in terms of accountability and what it means to me. It's interesting as I go through this discussion of character and the 6 principles and pillars of what they are. And accountability to me really comes down to being accountable first to yourself, but also to everybody that you have chosen to have your life involved with, whether it's your spouse, your kids, your parents, if you're in school, your teachers, if you're working, it's the people you work with, the people that you work for, in terms of if you're a service company, you've got clients that you're trying to deliver some product to. So accountability is not, it's being responsible for delivering what you promised to all those people and to yourself, and doing it all the time. It's a very, very difficult exercise, because when you start adding up who you're accountable to, you're really accountable to everybody. But most important, you're accountable to yourself. And the reason I put yourself in the middle of it is because you never want to disappoint yourself. And that's for everything you do in life. You want to be a winner. So if you think of it that way, you find yourself accountable for almost everything you do and to everybody you ever touch in your life.
Thank you very much. Great question there, Bozeman. And tuning in on audio only, Spotsylvania, Virginia, if you want to go ahead. Post Oaks.
My only question was, what made you want to quit or go to Harvard after you finished playing football?
I think you asked me what made me want to go to Harvard.
Yes, sir. What drove you in the direction of Harvard University?
Okay, I went to Harvard for a postgraduate class that was about a 3-week, very intense business class, and it was something that the first company I worked with, Bechtel, chose me to go to do. And to me, it was an honor and an opportunity to expand some knowledge that I gained by going through this economics class at Harvard.
Thank you very much, Post Oaks. Let's go to Oberlin, Ohio, Lorraine County.
As a child, what events in your life do you believe helped shape you into the man you are today?
Well, there's always lots of things that impact your life. One of them was a thing that I think is very important, which is called differentiation. And you guys will deal with differentiation as you go through life. And sometimes people don't want to talk about it. I would tell you it's the most important single thing you're going to find in the competitive world. Sports counts on it, and basically life counts on it in terms of business, because what happens in business is what happens in school. You get differentiated. It happened to me when I tried to play baseball, because my father, as I mentioned, was a professional baseball player. It turned out I was not a good baseball player for a variety of reasons. The foremost reason is that I have very bad eyes. I wear contact lenses now, but from a time I was about 8 to 10 years old, I had something like 2400 vision, and I really couldn't see a baseball very well to hit it or to catch it. And I ended up being differentiated as I tried out, and I tried to make baseball teams as I went through Little League and then high school, junior high school and high school. I was probably a very marginal baseball player at best. I was never good at it, much less great at it. And it was pretty traumatic for me to find out that I was not good enough to make the next step on the Little League team, and that my dad had played baseball, but somehow it hadn't worn off on me. That was traumatic, but it was probably most important in my life, because what I found out is if I wanted success, I had to try and apply myself to different things. So the result was I ended up being a very good swimmer in high school. That was my best sport, and I turned out to be a good football player. And that ended up changing my life, because my junior year in college, I got the opportunity to start to play, and we won our Big Ten championship, and we won the Rose Bowl. And I met a girl in California, and then I ended up getting drafted by the Rams. The lady ended up being my wife and is still my wife for 46 years. And we ended up as a kind of a win-win situation, all because of football, which wasn't the place where I started to find differentiation, but it's where I found some of the best differentiation of my life.
And Mr. Mack, can you explain to them real quick what you mean by differentiation?
Yeah, life goes in categories, and a number that you could use is 20, 70, 30. If you're talking percentages, 20% of the people, as you go off into a business career, you'll find, if you go to a big company in particular, you'll find that 20% are the kind of the hot shots of the company. They're bright, they're aggressive, they're the people who are kind of always on top of the pile. The 70% are most of the folks, but they're not necessarily trying to get to the top. They're good workers, they want to be there, but they're not going to be the president of the company. The 10% are the people that honestly don't belong there, and you're doing them a favor to get them out of that company at some point and get them onto another path in their life so they've got a good career opportunity. And you'll find that sports in particular differentiates that better than I think most businesses and most life in general. Because what happens is you've got good players and you've got players that aren't as good, but you need them on the team, and then you got a few that just don't belong on the team. And that's when I got differentiated out of baseball, you found out, golly gee, I just couldn't be good at everything. And sometimes people in life don't want to address those hard facts, but successful business does address those hard facts. And as you grow up and you go out in the world, you want to understand so you can make the decision yourself to be in that top 20 or be in that 70%, or even if you want to, be in that bottom 10% and get out and go to something else so you find success in life.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mack. And let's go to Castleberry.
Hello, my name is Noel Gomez, and I want to ask, like, what made you want to further your career after football?
Okay, I actually made the decision before I played football, and it really comes back to being fortunate enough to have parents that, number one, realized I wasn't very good at baseball after my dad had played baseball, but number two, realized that even if I did find success in athletics, whether it was swimming or it was football, that career was going to end sometime between the time I started to play professional sports and the time I finished playing professional sports, which, if I had the best career I could have hoped for in the world, might have been 15 years, and maybe the worst career would have been 2 or 3 years. The problem is, and this is as true today, unfortunately, as it is 30 or 40 years ago. The difference today is the kids initially get a lot more money, but the problem they've got is they're still playing a game and they're still being treated as a game. They need to realize that life goes on and they've got 30 or 40 years. So my parents constantly reminded me that if I was going to play sports, I had to have another career. And I'm sure that was partly because of my father's experience playing professional baseball. And even though it was interrupted by the Second World War, he ended up having to go out and have a second career after he quit playing baseball. So that's what forced me into the decision. But I was very good at math when I was in school, and being good at math naturally pointed me toward being an engineer, and that's how I got into engineering. The other issue that was very important to me was that I felt that I owed myself and my family to finish my degree so I could graduate from college. I mean, to me, that was extremely important and something that I knew I couldn't do initially if I played football, because football happened after 4 years in college, and I was in an engineering program that said you were going to have 140 semester hours, which was closer to 5 years. So I played football after my 4 years in college. Then I went into the Army for 6 months on active duty. Then I went back and played football again for a second season. Then I went back and finished school. I took 18 hours in the winter and spring of 1968 to finish my engineering degree. That was really very, very hard, but that was probably the most rewarding engineering experience that I had in terms of school. I hope I got your question.
Thank you very much, Castleberry. Great question. And the school that he's referring to, for those Ohio schools tuned in, I don't know if we brought that up, but it is the University of Michigan. I know we're got some Buckeye fans out there, so just so you know, that's the school he's referring to. Good weekend for us Buckeye fans, though, right?
Not necessarily.
So thank you, Castleberry. Let's go to St. Christopher. Speaking of Buckeyes, we'll go even further than Columbus. We'll go to Cincinnati, but go to St. Christopher.
All right. What qualities do you think help you the most in your football and prior to football, after football, in your career?
I think, interestingly enough, and I told the kids earlier, I tend to be an extremely tenacious person. If I've got something I've got to get done, I've got to keep working at it until I get it done. I don't like to walk away from things. You like to make things happen, so you keep after it. It's sort of like a hound dog on a ham bone. You just keep working it until you finally get it. Football to me was fun. I wasn't very good at it when I was an end, and I had a coach from Niles, Ohio. The kids from Oberlin may know where Niles is, and you Cincinnati kids might know too. It's up near Youngstown. He came up to Michigan, and he offered to make me a tackle instead of an end. And my only question was, does that mean I get to play? And he said, yes, if you work at it. So I really worked at that, and that's the reason I got the opportunity to end up playing professional football, because I was a very good athlete from the point of view of I had great speed and agility and enough size that I could play professional football as a guard. I had never played guard once in my life until I suited up for the Rams and played offensive guard. So you never know how it's going to work out. Okay.
Thank you very much, St. Christopher. We appreciate it. We're going to go back to the top again to Incline. If you got another question, go ahead, Incline.
Whenever something is difficult for me, my mom says it will build character. Does that mean that only difficult things will build character?
No.
That is an interesting question. I think that's the first time that's been asked. Great question.
I would argue no, that some things that come easy in life also help you with character. You've got to think about the lessons you learn from the things you do, whether they're easy or they're hard. And it also ties into not just what you do, but are the things you're doing right or wrong from a good versus bad perspective. When it's all said and done in life, you're trying and you want to have the most positive impact on people as you go through life. Where people get off course is they focus so much on themselves that they lose track of the other people in their lives. And no matter what it is you do, you have an impact on both yourself and the people you touch when you do something, whatever that is, whether it's driving a car or making a decision on where you're going to school, or whether you're going to finish work or not, or whatever it is. You've got an impact that affects a circle of people that's bigger than just yourself.
And, I think, Mr. Mack is a great example of, good things can help develop good character as well. And one of which, he's a great example of is making it back 13 straight Pro Bowls is an example of continuing to strive. I mean, that was a good thing to win, to be a Pro Bowler, but then continuing to challenge yourself to further that. And 39 years that he kept challenging himself. I mean, great things were happening, but continuing to challenge himself to keep exploring his potential, really, and reaching as a vice president with I don't know if they're one of the largest engineering firms in the country. I mean, as you heard, some of the infrastructure projects they've taken on, and become one of the top-ranking folks there is a great example of that. So I think his career speaks to your question as well, that we learn things out of bad things, but we also learn things out of good things as well. Let's go ahead with Bozeman.
Hi, I'm Hadley, and my question is, what drive you to be a leader or a person of strong character?
I think you said what drove me to be a leader or a person of strong character? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Life's funny. I don't know that there was any single one driving force that said you need to lead or you need to be strong. It's more a combination of the people that touch you in your life, whether In one case, I had a very strong grandfather who happened to be a pretty spiritual person. And it was a big deal about moral compass as you grew up with Grandpa. In other things, you are impacted by coaches and teachers and people that you look up to. So you find yourself emulating people because you think highly of them. And then suddenly that puts you into position where you become the example of that. And then people start to look toward you, toward being a leader because you've done well at something. Some people seek leadership. I think for the most part you fall into it initially, and from there, if the coat fits, so to speak, you wear that because you're responsible. And if you find success in being a leader, you feel responsible for leading. Does that help?
I'll say yes for her. Thank you, Hadley. Well, I just said yes for you, Hadley. Post Oaks, got a question?
Well,
go ahead.
Actually, Post Oak is getting ready to change classes, and so what I want to say is thank you very, very much for letting us participate. We had a great time, and we learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Post Oaks, and thank you. We appreciate that. Go ahead and mute there, Post Oaks. Thank you very much. Let's go to Lorain County.
What character qualities do you believe it takes to be a Hall of Fame football player?
I don't know that they're character qualities as much as I'm trying to think of the right word. I guess they are character qualities. Hard work in terms of willing to continue to put in the effort and the hours. I think that's one of the commonality things that seems to go back and forth with all of the Hall of Famers that I've gotten close to over the years. To some it comes more natural than others, but to most you'll find people that have been willing to put in the hours, the sweat and blood, so to speak, in terms of working hard and continuously to achieve their success. That, in some ways, I guess the closest you'd come to a trait would be saying that those people are accountable, and they're really accountable to themselves. They spill over and are accountable to their teammates only because they focus so much on doing their job themselves. Whether they think of it that way or not at the time usually is not the case, but the end result comes out that is the case, that they've really paid the price to be great themselves, plus they've contributed to their team, which usually comes across as fairly great itself.
Okay, thank you very much, Lorain County. Let's go to Castleberry.
Is it hard to maintain good composure whenever
You're currently the only participant in the conference.
Okay, Pat Schmuck at Regional 11, is that you guys? But go ahead, Castleberry. Go ahead and ask your question again.
Is it hard to maintain good composure when someone gives a dirty hit or is talking trash on the field?
It's interesting. Somebody asked me about this earlier, and I've seen, when I played over a 13-year period, a cycle of play where there were some dirty players. When I first started to play, the game was pretty much self-policing in terms of the guys would eventually take care of the dirty players and eliminate them one way or the other. Trash talk was something that was, to me, it's, I don't consider it trash talk. I consider it immaturity. And there was some of that. There's a lot more now. It's, to me, it's an embarrassment to both the game of football and to the individuals involved in it, because what it does is reaffirm to those watching that the kids have not really grown up yet, and they really are being immature. But that's part of the game, so you just put up with it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Did we lose you, Jerry? I think we lost Jerry. You push your button and ask another question if you want.
Yep, nope, we're there. St. Christopher,
Oh,
go
you're
ahead.
there,
I'm
okay.
sorry. I thought I hit the unmute, but I guess I didn't.
No.
St. Christopher?
Hello, go ahead.
Of the 6 qualities, is there one you think is more important for students to really focus on?
You know, they asked me this earlier, and I don't think you can separate character into 4, 5, or 6 succinct different things, because I tell you they all tie back together. And the issue really is accountability. If I used one word out of the whole 6, and that's under responsibility. And the responsibility you have is first to yourself, but then to everybody you touch in life, whether you're in sports and it's the people next to you that are counting on you, or you're the rest of your teammates that are counting on you, or it's the coach who's counting on you, or it's your mom and dad who are counting on you for something a little different, or you're a parent and your kids are counting on you. Everybody you touch in life, you're kind of responsible to, and you're accountable to them for your performance as well as other things in life. So to me, no, there isn't a way to pull it all out and pick one, that I'm a caring person and that's more important than anything else in the world. I think you got to have this whole package to really succeed in life, and that's where you have to stay focused, because it's a big package. You guys know what's good and bad as you grow up, because you're smart enough to understand what's good and bad. The question is, sometimes you have to make choices, and you don't always make the right choices. But usually you know what's good and bad, and that ends up being accountable to yourself.
Thank you very much, St. Christopher. Great question. Let's go back to our friends there at Incline High School.
Hi, we are here, and this will be our last question because we're preparing for class change also.
So the question is, do you think schools should take over teaching character since so many families are too busy to teach life lessons at home?
Wow, great question.
Well, it's, you know, you're into, should schools replace families? That's the easier way to ask the question. And the answer is no. But should schools be wise enough to supplement families by helping define character and what all the aspects of character are? I think that's not a bad choice. That's a good choice, because you're reinforcing to kids that have a good home situation what's right, what's wrong, and what fits into the overall character package. And to the few that aren't getting any exposure to that, you're giving them exposure as well as you're giving them the examples of their peers, which are the other kids, going through the exercise of displaying character, both good and bad sometimes. But the way it's got to be taught is not as a substitute for the family, but as a supplement and a reinforcement. And I think that's important. I would further tell you, in the big scheme of life, and it's your generation, not my generation, but one of the things your generation will have to work very, very hard on is repairing some of what I would call the damage that probably started about my generation and has trickled down and expanded and destroyed the nuclear family, so to speak, and the concept that a family is so important. The impact is not on the parents. The impact is always on the kids. So as you grow up and you assume the role of being parents, you have to be sure you understand that you're taking responsibility not just for your lives, but for the lives of all of the people that you impact.
Well said. Well said. Thank you very much, Incline. That's a great question. Something we give a lot of thought to, and one of the reasons why we offer this program for schools is to kind of, as Mr. Mack said, is to be a supplement. So if we can be that supplement for the schools, to be a supplement to the families, that's the reason why we think guys like Mr. Mack are great examples of how you can pattern your life to be successful on and off the field. So thank you very much, Incline, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's go to Bozeman, Montana.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and were there times where you wanted to quit, and how did you motivate yourself to continue going?
Well, the answer is there's always there's always probably some temptation to quit, and that temptation comes both when you're on top and when you're on the bottom, because with a sport, you know that your tenure is terminal at some point. You're either going to go out big or you're going to go out bad, but either way, you're going to go out at some point that you probably can define. So in sports, what I found was anytime I got that temptation to walk away, I'd ask, what are the good reasons and what are the bad reasons? And if there were bad reasons, I'd resist the temptation to walk away. When I did quit playing, I consciously knew I could play another year or two, but I wouldn't be as good as I had been because I was getting old. And I wanted to walk away while I was still very good to say that I did it, and I walked away on my own terms. The team didn't cut me or anything like that. So when I walked away, the year after I walked away, the Rams finally went to the Super Bowl. They had never gone in the 13 years I was there. We always came in second or third, but never won the damn championship. And the year after I quit, they win the thing. They didn't win a Super Bowl, but that was hard to watch. But I had made the right decision for me.
Thank you very much, Bozeman. Let's go. We've got time for probably about three more questions here. Lorain County. Lorain. Last chance. Okay, let's go to Castleberry.
Hi, my name is Alicia Mendoza, and I'm a sophomore at Castleberry High School. And my question is, how did you manage to never miss a game out of the 184 games that you played?
Well, it's interesting. I actually, those were the league games that were played. There were 184. I think it was 11 years at, I don't even remember what the number was. 10 years at 100 and at 14 a year, so that's 140, and then 3 years of 16 a year. That's 48. I guess it's somewhere up in that number.
Aren't you supposed to be good at numbers? Aren't you supposed to be good at numbers?
Yeah, I am. Maybe it's only one. It doesn't matter. Those were the league games. The interesting part is I played about 60 more games than that because we played 6 games in exhibition every year, and we played in about 15 playoff games, and I also played in 11 Pro Bowls. So if I add up the numbers, I'd get a lot higher than the 184. The real issue on how I never missed a game was a monumental tribute to stupidity. I played hurt a lot, and in my mind, 2 things go through your mind. When you first play, and if you get hurt, you see and you remember that the way I got my chance to play was the guy in front of me got hurt, and he never got his job back. Now, it turned out I was better than he was, but at the time they made that decision, I was a rookie, and nobody really knew whether I was any good or not. But once I got on the field and started to prove myself in a game, they said, well, let's keep the kid in there. So you didn't want to miss a game if you could depend on going, and then 2, you had to be very, very lucky health-wise. I played a number of games with partially torn ligaments in my knees. I played 1 year with I almost lost my right eye, and then a freak accident in practice where I had my tear duct ripped down and my eyelid ripped apart. And they sewed me up, and I played 2 weeks later. And it was interesting because they offered me one of these plastic shields that you see all the players now wearing. And I told them I didn't want to do that because that would mean the guy I was playing against would know I was hurt. And that would just mean he'd come up with some other way to beat me. So I played the first game of the season. I missed 2 exhibition games, but I played the first game of the season with a shield just to protect, without the shield, just to avoid thinking I was a sissy, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, why I played them all, just probably because I was dumb.
Thank you very much, Castleberry. Let's go to St. Christopher.
My name is Ryan, and did you ever penalize or suspended in your high school career, college, or professional career?
Did I ever tell lies or be suspended?
Did you ever get penalized or suspended in your high school?
Penalized. Okay, got it. Yes, I got penalized. I probably got penalized. I don't remember ever getting penalized in high school. I do remember getting penalized in college and in the pros for things that were mostly called holding. And it's a judgment call whether I was holding the people or not. But the official makes that decision and decides he's going to call you for holding or occasionally for jumping off sides. But generally speaking, were you intentionally trying to hold somebody? Offensive linemen will tend to hold people the way we played only in case we get beaten badly and our quarterback is in danger. And if you ask me, would I hold a guy if he was going to hit the quarterback, and if my holding him could stop that, I would probably hold him to keep him from hurting my quarterback. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We got time for one more. Let's go to Bozeman. The ladies there at Bozeman, Montana.
Hi, so my question is, when someone is going through hard times, what advice would you give them?
It's interesting. Hard times can be defined as anything because you don't know the circumstances. So that puts you a little bit on a spot. But you probably need to rely, at least initially, I would tell you to rely on your family and your friends to help you figure out the best way out of hard times. And if you can come up with an answer to that, then make the effort and take the initiative to work your way out of hard times. Again, without how you define hard times, that's pretty general opinion. But I've found when I've been in difficult times that if I buckle down and really focus and not be afraid to ask some people for advice as to how to help me, I can usually get my way out of hard times.
And I think he brings up a great point, because he said willing to ask other people for help. And for some reason, in sports, if we need help, let's say, we need help with footwork, we need help with strength, speed, whatever it is, we go to our coaches, no problem. We have no problem asking coaches, hey, let's work after practice and do this. But for some reason, when it comes to school and other areas of life, we are scared to ask for help. You're scared to go up, and whether it's because you might be thought of as uncool or whatever the reason is being willing to ask for that help when you need it. And your teachers and your principals and your family members are all there to help you through those situations. Because I can tell you, in my life, I would not have be where I am at if I did not ask for help from my life. And I can guarantee you, as Mr. Mack has already alluded to as well throughout his talks, is there have been a lot of people that have helped him out in his life, that have helped him achieve success. So I think we need to be willing to ask for help, because we all need it. Whether some people don't ask for it, but we all need it. So, Mr. Mack, I know we're getting down to the last minute or two in this program. You've covered on a lot of different things. Is there anything last that either you'd like to reiterate or something else you'd like to share with the students just to close the program?
Well, I guess if I tell you anything, it's not to be afraid to challenge yourselves. Life is a good journey and it's worth living. Sometimes people get off track and get, for whatever reason, a lack of focus. Take the time, if you can, to focus, find out what you like to do in life, and be willing to work at it, and you'll find success in life, whether it's in sports or it's in business or it's in life taking care of your kids or whatever the case may be. Don't be afraid to give everything, give it your all, so to speak. Because life is worth living. And when you live a good life, you touch a lot of people, and you make their lives better also.
And students, if you can unmute your mics for a second and join me in saying thank you and give a round of applause to Pro Football Hall of Famer, Mr. Tom Mack.
Thank you.
Yay!
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And Mr. Mack, on behalf of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and everybody here, we want to say thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. +6 Technologies, thank you for letting us use your studios there in the Las Vegas area and hosting Mr. Mack. I think he even got a coffee mug out of it, so I'm sure that's greatly appreciated. Just all the folks, the teachers, the students, everyone that's tuned in for this program, thank you for all your work to making this program happen. And hopefully we see you someday in Canton, Ohio, make the trek here. And if not, hopefully we'll see you some other way in the future. Take care.